Hey, I am Jess, and I'm obsessed with all things nutrition, science, and helping you navigate this information while maintaining a deep sense of peace and empowerment in your body. I'm a registered dietitian who started out with an eating disorder and then fell in love with learning about how God intricately designed our bodies to be resilient and so much more than superficially beautiful. I am now a mama who loves to be healthy, not because of how it makes me look, but because of how it has transformed the energy I can give to my family, my friends, and you. On this show, we hit on real talk around the latest nutrition science and body image resiliency, all while balancing it between grit and grace. Think of this as your weekly audio coffee to encourage your empowered eating journey. This is the Fuel Her Awesome podcast. Hey friend, I'm so glad you are here today. You are about to listen in on an incredible conversation with my new friend, Katlyn. I don't want to tell you a lot about her because I want you to hear her story from her perspective, but this conversation is one that no doubt will leave you feeling different about how you view your current body. Our body has a story. It has been through so much in this life. Life is real, life is hard, life is beautiful. But to think that we can go through life without our body ever changing is unrealistic. And I know as you listen in on this conversation with Katlyn today, you will end it feeling a little bit more grace and understanding with the current body you are living in. Guys, I'm so excited. Katlyn and I actually met at a writer's retreat that I went to back in April. She was the first person that I met. I was stuck to her like glue for the rest of the time because she is just such an incredible human. And I'm so honored to have her on the show today. So grab some tissues, grab some Kleenex, get ready because you're going to feel it on this one. Let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. Well, Katlyn, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
I am thrilled. This is my first podcast interview. And Jessica, I am just so honored to be here. And I think it's just amazing how God kind of placed each other in our lives, right?
Totally. Yeah, you and I just recently met at one of Bob Goff's retreats. It was a writer retreat. You were the first person that I met. And then I was like glued to you the whole time. I was like, she's my bestie for this trip.
The feeling was mutual. I felt the same. I remember you coming up the stairs and I was just sitting on the couch and oh my gosh, we got deep so quick.
So
and
fast.
I think it's just really cool how God does that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we were just instantly connected and instant friends.
Totally. I'm like, I didn't realize that, but yeah, within about 30 minutes, we were both crying. We were talking about deep things. And that's how I roll, really. I'm an 8 on the Enneagram. So I would much rather hear about the deep stuff in your heart than I would like the weather anyways. So that's how I knew you and I were meant to be.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, we just dived right in. And what I tell people about that whole experience was just like, it was like Bible camp for adults and just like summer camp. And it was like this high, but it was all the emotions.
Yep.
And I made so many good friends and connections. And Bob just is the real deal. He's amazing. And it was awesome that we got to kind of share that with each other. So.
Yeah, it was, I love that church camp for adults. I cried so much in 3 days. I didn't even know I had that many tears in me and smiled more than I've smiled in a while. But yeah, so for those of you who are listening, if you don't know who Bob Goff is, do yourself a favor, Google this man and read one of his books. It will absolutely change your life and how you just view humanity. He is a strong believer and like faith is really important to him. But one of my favorite things about him is if you are not in alignment with that, it doesn't matter. Like his vibe on life is just something that is very inviting to people, all walks of life.
100%, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yep. Totally. Well, now we are going to talk about something pretty heavy today, but I'm really grateful for your willingness to share your story. And this is one of the things you and I dove into right away when we connected. Yeah. We are talking about grief and the toll that takes on your body. And I'm so glad you're willing to talk about this because I can think of a handful of clients I have right now, Katlyn, that have been through serious grief in the last 5 years, especially coming off COVID with a lot of loss in many different ways. And it's changed people's bodies. And then they're mad about it and upset and feeling like they're the failure. They're what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for you to share your story because I know your experience you found a lot of grace for yourself. It hasn't been easy, but you
Mhm.
have.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, just my backstory. I am a 31-year-old widow. And my goodness gracious, that sounds real harsh when I say it out loud, right? But that's my reality. I'm a single mom to my beautiful girl, Chloe. She's 2. But yeah, I was married to the love of my life for 5 years. We were high school sweethearts. His name was Riley. And yeah, together for 11 years total. And we live here in Iowa. And there was one night that Riley, in January of 2023, so about a year and a half ago, Riley was on his way home from work. He worked as a nurse practitioner in the urology department at Iowa Clinic, and just most normal day ever. I was giving my daughter Chloe a bath, and I got a phone call from a stranger that there had been a car accident and that I needed to drop what I was doing and to get down to this car accident because it involved Riley, and it wasn't good. I just got word that there was a life flight helicopter on the way to pick him up off the highway. And yeah, I just remember praying for God to save his life. And, the complexities of that night, we won't go into detail, but it was heavy. It was a lot. But God did not save Riley that night. And Riley met Jesus at 28 years old. Um, and that's heavy. That's really heavy. And that wasn't the plan, right? Like, that wasn't the plan I had for my life. That wasn't what I thought my life would be like as a little girl. But here I am, and I'm grieving. And I think that I am, for the most part, grieving well. But that doesn't mean that it's been easy or that it's been um, graceful. I think it's been really ugly and messy in a lot of ways, but I do grieve with Jesus and I walk with Jesus, and he has been the rock for my grief journey. And I couldn't be here where I am without him. So that's kind of my story. Again, it's heavy, but I'm hoping that people who are listening in today can just take some pieces from this that might have a similar road that they're walking.
Yeah, I mean, it is heavy. And that's what, when I first met you, you said, "Oh, I hate leading with this, but this is
Right.
why I'm here at this retreat. This is what I've been
Yeah.
through." And I mean, even hearing your story again, I can feel it. My body's got chill, like a visceral level for you. You've been through so much. And yet there is a layer of hope in you that I think
Yeah.
is really speaks to your faith and your walk with God, which is unbelievable. And we know God's using it.
Mhm.
Would we want it for you again? Absolutely not. But can God pull beauty from ashes? Yes. Or beauty from the desert, as you like to
Yes.
say.
Yes.
Yeah, little plug here. Caitlin's starting her podcast. And I don't know if you want to do a quick plug on it because I love what you're doing.
Yeah. So I do live in the cornfields of Iowa, and Jessica actually lives in the desert. But the desert has just kind of been the anthem of my grief. Ryan and I took this big trip to the desert 2 summers before he passed away, and we just loved it and have so many fun memories there. But the desert, it can be brutal. It can be barren. It's desolate, right? And truthfully, the night that Ryan died, it felt like God walked me out into this wasteland and left me for dead. And that sounds super harsh, but that's kind of where it started. And then this whole idea of how beautiful things still bloom in the desert. And there's this beautiful plant called the desert rose. And it's this bright, beautiful flower against, the red rocks of the desert landscape. And it still thrives and it still blooms. And I had a friend tell me that, Katlyn, you are a desert rose. And the only reason why I am able to bloom is that I have a lifeline and water source named Jesus. And so that's kind of like the plug for my podcast. I have a blog called Desert Rose. My podcast is going to be called Desert Stories,
Mm.
and it launches on Monday.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, super pumped for that.
So that'll be
Just you,
Monday, the 27th, right?
the 27th.
Okay, cool.
So,
Oh
yes.
my gosh. Well, I think, and not to skip over the heaviness of your story, because it is something that, um, like you said, it was messy and it didn't come easy, but we are going to shift onto like what happened afterwards, because I think as you and I got to know each other, this was a lot of our conversation about how after the fact, like, yes, there's this idea that there are roses that bloom in the desert, and Jesus did come to meet you, but it wasn't easy, and the toll it took on your body was pretty extreme. So tell us a little bit about the months after Riley passed, what that
Mhm.
was like for your body physically as you started to navigate this level of grief.
Yeah. Again, anyone who's listening who's experiencing grief, I think you will agree with everything I'm about to share about just the physical toll. So I think the thing that I wasn't prepared for was just the fatigue. I mean, absolute pure exhaustion. Like, I can't, there are no words to explain it. It's just like your body is so heavy and it's day after day. It's like a physical pain and it's just low energy. And I think that that is part of, there's like the 5 stages of grief that you go in and out of, right? And one of them is depression.
Mhm,
And depression takes a lot on your body. And when you're going through that phase of grief, it's like depression times a million.
mhm,
And before losing Riley, I never really dealt with a lot of like mental health stuff. So just that connection between the depression and then just the heaviness that it leaves on your body and just not wanting to do anything. Like your brain doesn't want to do anything, but then your body's like, no way, I can't even get out of bed. Like I can't even, if I didn't have at the time, Chloe was 10 months old. If I didn't have a 10-month-old that I was still breastfeeding and caring for, like I don't know how I would have physically
mhm.
gotten out of bed. And that sounds real dramatic, but it's just true. It's just real, man. It's awful.
Well, I think you speak to this layer of depression, which there's
Hmm.
like kind of people in the world that have had it, and the same for anxiety. If you've never
Yeah.
experienced depression or anxiety, it's really hard to understand the physical toll it has on your body. Like
Right.
depression does have a heaviness. And interestingly, this is me being a dietitian over here, but like there's actual physical postures your gut takes when you experience
Mhm.
depression. So it kind of twists and everything slows down. So to think that like what's going on in our head and what's happening in our body is separate is really naive because they are so
Right.
close. We're one and the same.
Yeah.
And so when you went through this, you're talking about navigating, taking care of a 10-month-old,
Mhm.
this unexpected, unplanned new normal, and then you still have to like feed yourself and
Yeah.
do these
Yeah.
day-to-day things. I mean, how was that for you?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to this later about like my weight journey, but I mean, I instantly lost 15 pounds.
Mhm.
And I vividly remember like sitting in my living room and my cousin Chelsea, who is the real MVP of all of this, she's really like my sister.
Mhm.
Um, and I just remember sitting on my living room floor the day after Riley died. And there was so much food that was brought to my house, and
Mhm.
someone had brought like Jimmy John sandwiches. And I just remember her sitting beside me and feeding me like bites of food and
Mm.
like physically
Mm.
feeding me, was like holding it to my mouth, saying, Caitlin, take a bite.
Yeah.
And, water, like liquid IVs and all, like just trying to get calories in me because I was so weak. I was so worn.
Mhm.
I was so weary. Food doesn't sound good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I instantly dropped 15 pounds, which my nervous system was a train wreck. My
Mhm.
cortisol levels were through the roof. I'm in shock. And then I'm not like fueling my body at all.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of the start of it, was just this like my body was being starved, but it was also on like overload,
Yeah. Yeah.
every sensory overload possible, but it wasn't healthy at all, right?
Yeah. Well, and to think that you would maintain a healthy like
Mhm.
regimen through this is just insane, right? You're in
Oh,
survival mode. How long do
exactly.
you feel like that lasted for you?
Yeah, I would say probably like the first month,
Okay.
food didn't sound good. But again, caring for a child, I amped up my caffeine intake because
Mm.
I also was not sleeping. So you put that in it. And I know you've talked about insomnia on your
Mhm.
podcast before.
Mhm.
So you throw in like the not eating, the not sleeping, and then chugging caffeine.
Mhm.
And it was just a recipe for absolute disaster.
Mhm.
I think like the caffeine obviously ranked up my cortisol levels and just everything was off. So I would say I gained my 15 back within like that month. My
Mhm.
mother-in-law and my mom both lost a lot of weight too. It was just like none of us wanted to eat. And those were the people who were with me and taking care of me. So that wasn't good either
Wow.
because no one wanted to eat. And it
Yeah.
wasn't even like we were avoiding food. It was just like we just didn't. Like we just weren't cooking. We were in, like you said, we were in survival. Yeah. But
Mhm.
then I gained it all back and then some. And we can talk about that
Yeah,
later.
so let me know, like, let's transition to that. What happened? Like, once you kind
Yeah.
of went through these initial, like, 3 months, get through the funeral, get through
Yeah.
like the survival mode,
Mhm.
then tell me about what happened as life adjusted to this new normal.
Yeah, well, I think my lifestyle changed because I decided to stay home with my daughter, Chloe.
Mhm.
So I was a teacher before all of this. So I went from being a full-time teacher. I had just graduated from my master's.
Mhm.
The dream was to be a principal, right?
Mhm.
So I was in grad school and then also caring for Chloe. So I went from like busy, 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 moving, moving, moving all the time to staying home with Chloe. And, chasing a toddler, you're doing things, but it's just different, right? And so my lifestyle changed. So I wasn't as active. Then you throw in the depression and the fatigue and not moving my body. And I just started to gain weight. And I've always been a runner. And honestly, I've always been an athlete. I was a four-sport athlete in high school. I maintained that in college where I love to be active. And um, I stopped running. I stopped moving my body. I remember I was trying to go for walks, but like I didn't want to because of the depression. And so also wasn't eating healthy. I was back to eating, but not great, like to fuel my
Sure.
body.
Were you
Just
sleeping yet, or were you still struggling to
no,
sleep? Yeah.
and it's such a roller coaster, but I would say this fall was when I finally
Mm,
started to sleep regularly, um, and routinely and
okay.
soundly. But it's still a battle. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I would say it's the best it's been. I'm hoping that I'm really turning this corner that I'm
It sounds
actually,
like it. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
it
actually,
does. Yeah, but you put all those pieces together,
yeah.
depression, this this malnutrition, and then like a little bit of restoration you're coming off of. I mean, that
Mhm.
15-pound drop, that's a severe weight loss in such a
Yeah,
short amount of time.
yeah.
And that's actually a lot of the work I do is helping people recover from malnutrition, because that's something like you can drop your iron stores in a month and it can take 6 months to a year to rebuild
Yeah.
them. Like it can take a long time. Your vitamin D levels are really sensitive to that as well. And so
Mhm.
your body goes through so much trauma in addition to your heart and your soul and your spirit. And so then you come to this place where you're not running anymore. It's hard to because you're depressed, and you ended up gaining some weight.
Hmm. Yeah, so going into the fall, I was the heaviest I'd ever been.
Mhm.
And I'm 5'9", 5'10", I was 5'11" on the basketball roster, but
I love it.
5'9".
Nobody's telling.
So,
We won't tell anyone.
so I'm tall, right? And
Yeah.
I remember getting on the scale and I was like 193 pounds.
Mhm.
And when I was pregnant with Chloe, I got up to like 205 or
Mhm.
something.
Mhm.
And so when before I lost Riley, I bounced back pretty quickly
Mhm.
after having Chloe. And so to see that 193 was like creeping up on like my pregnancy weight. It was a numbers game for me. I was like,
Sure.
oh my word, like I cannot get over 200 pounds. This is insane.
Mhm.
And so I started a like keto like diet, a fad.
Mhm.
And I did end up losing about 15 pounds. And
Mhm.
so I was down to one, like just under 180 was kind
Mhm.
of where I was living. And I was okay with that. I
Mhm.
felt good. But I got married when Riley and I got married, I was 150 pounds. And that was where ideally still I would love to be, but is it realistic? I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure you have all the opinions about that,
Yeah.
Jess. But anyway, again, just this numbers game.
Yeah.
And um, so I lost that, but now I'm, back up, creeping up on that 193. And it's just really, really hard to
Mhm.
see that.
Mhm.
And I did a photo shoot after I came home from the Oaks. And I remember sitting with you. I don't remember where we were on the Oaks property, but I was like, planning to do my website and I'm writing my book right now. I want to launch this podcast. And the next step is maybe to do some headshots and get this website rolling, be more present on social media. And I'm like, I do not want to do this photo shoot. It's like the heaviest I've ever been. I'm so self-conscious. Like,
Mhm.
and I just remember you're like, Caitlin, no one is going to pay attention to that. Like, they're just going to see you for you. And I don't know, you just had the best pep talk about it. And so I got home and I texted my friend Lori, who is an amazing photographer.
Mhm.
And we scheduled my photo shoot and I did it. Oh
And
my God.
they're gorgeous. They
Ah,
are gorgeous, gorgeous photos. And I
yeah.
know people are going to click on your podcast more because it's your face and they're going to see
Mm.
who you are. I loved that conversation so
Mhm.
much because, and when we talked about it, I think one of the other things I was like, Caitlin, anyone going through grief is going to be so excited to know that they're not alone. And I
Yeah.
think this is one of my biggest beefs with like wellness culture and influencers is like there's this perception that like our body is not supposed to change no matter what we go through.
Mm.
And there that could not be more far from the truth because our body is in this life with us. And so you going through what you went through, your body went through it too. And to demand your
Yeah.
body to not feel that and to not struggle with that would be insane because you guys are one of the same, you are your
Right.
body, you know?
100%. Well, and
And
I just think about too, like the athleticism part of my
yeah.
body, like how I'm running a half marathon in 2 weeks, right? And it's just like I was on a run the other day and I've been struggling through this training cycle, which is a lot about my grief. And I think my body's kind of sounding off like, Caitlin, stop.
Slow
But
down.
that's a whole other story. But I'm like running and I'm like, my body is amazing. Like I am the heaviest I've been, but my legs are strong.
Mhm.
My mind is strong. Like God has given me this gift of running and that I can do this long distance thing. And even though it isn't like what you were saying, like it's not exactly how I want it to be, but it's changed with me and here we are and we're about to run a half. And
Amazing.
it's still really good.
It is. It's wonderful. And I've never known you in a different body. So,
Mhm.
I could feel like I have this advantage because when I met you, I'm like, this girl's a babe. Look at her cute little sweatsuit and her
Oh my
hat.
gosh.
You were just gorgeous right away. But, I think we are so like accustomed to comparing ourselves to our younger
Yeah.
bodies, our bodies that haven't been through things, but like life is hard and life is real. I mean, I
Mhm.
just got off a call of someone who went through breast cancer and her body changed after breast cancer. And
Yeah.
it's taken her quite a bit of time to come to this space of like grace of saying, my
Mhm.
body is never going to be the same. And I may not love that, but I'm also happy to be here
Yeah.
and to still be here with my kids. And I
100%.
love like you come to this where you've said, okay, don't love it, but I'm really grateful for it. And we're going to do
Mhm.
some really cool things with it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think the other thing that was really weird with this whole like weight loss thing and like the photo shoot and all the things, this is like another layer of grief of like losing Riley,
Mhm.
was just like the self-esteem
Mhm.
that the self-esteem that I had when I was with Riley was just, I was super confident. I've always been a really confident person. But he told me I was beautiful every day.
Mhm.
Like I had this validation in him as my spouse and just like every day, like when I was pregnant, postpartum, all the things he's like, you're beautiful, you're amazing, like all this stuff. And to lose that and
Mhm.
then gain this weight while I'm grieving, it's
Mhm.
like, I hate it, but words of affirmation are my jam and they're like my love language. And to not hear that from my spouse, like I can have my friends tell me till the cows come home, but like
Mhm.
to not have him say it, it was really hard.
So how have you
So
navigated that? Because that's really powerful insight. And you could have
yeah.
blamed the lack of confidence on your weight change. Like you could have
Mhm.
said, okay, I don't like my bigger body now. So therefore, I'm not going to be confident. I'm going to hide my body. Like you could have gone a different route, but you haven't. So how have you
Mhm.
done that?
I mean, there's some like really ugly parts of my grief journey. I think I tried to find that validation in like
Mhm.
other people's opinions. And, I did the online dating thing for a hot sec and that was awful. But I still got some validation from
Mhm.
men like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful, right? That felt good for a minute.
Mhm.
But I think what it came down to was just like remembering that my identity is in Christ and
Mhm.
that I have to hold fast to that because I mean, at the end of the day, I am a daughter of the king, and his opinion of me and like how
Mhm.
he views me is the most important thing, right? Like, how does Jesus view you as his daughter? And so that is just like what I've clung to. And again, it took me a while to get there. I had this just really ugly part of my grief journey that I'll talk about in my book, just yeah, trying to find it in other places. And I think as humans, we naturally do that.
Sure.
It's really hard to admit that, but just that hearing that validation.
Yeah, but it comes back void, which is part of the hard part. And it sounds
Hmm.
like, when you sought that, it didn't fill that hole. It didn't
No.
give you the confidence and reassurance you were looking for, which that's why God's so cool. Like he meets us
Yeah.
where we need to be met and
Yeah.
pulls you back in. But I think like what you're hitting on is really holding to this idea that like our beauty goes so much deeper than our weight, our body, our age,
Mhm.
or our hair, like any of that,
Yeah.
and really goes to the core of who we are. And I know that sounds kind of like what's the word, stereotypical, like it's a very common answer, but it's something
Right.
that's really hard to live by in our
Yeah.
world, especially when we have our words of affirmation people.
100%. And I don't think social media does us any favors. I think that there's this definition of what we should look like. And I mean, you could talk about that forever, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so that doesn't help. It just doesn't help anything in my grief journey, really. But yeah, just holding fast to that truth that, at the end of the day, daughter of a king, man, and that's a big deal. And
That's a
it's
huge deal.
just, yeah,
So good. So good. Now I can't imagine like we are on social media. We're also
mhm.
aging. Like you're in your young 30s, when you get to your 40s, like it's different. Things start to
Yeah.
change. And
Oh, yeah.
so how are you like continuing to remind yourself to align with that? Because I don't think it's a switch that we just turn off and we never deal with it again. I do think it's something we have to remain like mentally disciplined about, like, and come
Mhm.
back and say, no, this is my identity. This is how I'm choosing to define my worth and my beauty and where I get my
Mhm.
confidence from. So how are you pulling yourself back to that as you continue to walk your grief journey?
Yeah, I mean, I have to chalk this up to my friends and my community that I do
Mm,
life with. I have just the most amazing women of God in my life. And we just keep each other accountable. And I can go real, I can go deep, I can tell them all the ugly things and like, hey, today I am feeling ugly, or I'm feeling like, I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
Ah, gosh, just being real about how we're feeling and
Mhm.
reminding each other that social media is not real. I think too, with just what we post on social media is what I'm feeling convicted about because I never want to portray that I have it together, right? And so like finding that balance of like being real and also being professional too, right? Like you have to
Right.
find that balance, being vulnerable, but I would hate for a woman to like get on my social media page and feel like, oh my gosh, like she has it all together because that is the farthest thing from the truth. So I think as women, we can just do each other favors of being real and talking about our insecurities and
Mhm.
not making our social media a highlight reel of all the things going well in our lives and
Totally.
posting the most beautiful, flattering photos, even though that's what we want to do. That's
I
what
know.
I want to do. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just chalk it up to my friends and how we can just stay real with each other and kind of bring us all back to reality and what is real when you're aging, right?
Yeah. That's so good, Caitlin. Well, that's what you did with the photo shoot. You
Mm-hmm.
decided to do it, even though you hadn't lost that weight and you may
Right.
not, you may not, but you
Right.
decided, all right, this is the body I am in, which I know, like, I don't know if you'll hear it in your podcast, but I know there are folks listening right now that have been through grief that are going, oh, thank goodness someone is saying
Right.
it's
Say
okay
it
to
out
gain
loud.
weight. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
okay. And in fact, it's a very normal response because, again, like from the physiological perspective, when you go through that degree of malnutrition, the body actually has it's hard for it to bounce back. And what it does is like when you drop a significant amount of weight really, really fast, and not even just weight, just like lose micronutrients, and then you
Yeah.
repair it, there's this like weird shift where the body almost overcompensates, which is a lot of times why, I mean, it's why dieting doesn't work. The body goes like, oh my gosh, we've been in this severe like starvation period. We need to hold on to what she's giving us now because we don't know if we're
Yeah.
going to go through that again. Like the body doesn't think in terms of Instagram photos. The body thinks in terms of micronutrient and survival and how can I survive the next famine?
I think that's exactly what happened. truthfully, I think it was my body was like hanging on, like
Mhm.
anything I would give it. And it wasn't great. It was caffeine and carbs, pretty
Yeah.
much just,
Yeah.
comfort food, which
Yeah.
hey, I love
But
me
you
some
need
pasta and
it.
pizza, but yeah, and I
And
needed it. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it just stored it as fat and was just like in survival. I think that's exactly what happened.
Mhm. And I love that explaining that because then it helps people realize, okay, nothing's wrong with me. I didn't do
No.
anything wrong. This is just what happens. And like, thank God
Yeah.
for my body that it did take care of me while I went through this. Like there was another gal we know really well who lost her husband and it was awful, obviously, but she had this really great speech that she gave at one of the 5Ks a couple years later, where she talked about how she was so grateful she was healthy before her husband passed because
Mm.
of what her body went through in the following 2 years was so traumatic that she's like, I cannot believe my body has sustained me after what it's been through because
Yeah.
it's been so traumatic.
Oh, 100%. And just, yes, the human body is an incredible creation. Like it's just
Mhm.
astounding. And I think being postpartum with Chloe, I mean, my body was already kind of doing all the weird postpartum things.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
Riley, but I was a relatively healthy person before
Mhm.
losing him. And so that's a really good point. Like to be healthy. That's just cheering on health in
Right.
general. Because you
Right.
never know what your body's going to go through. And so you got to take care of it.
You do. Yeah. You don't know if you'll go through something, if a family
Mhm.
member will, and you need to be able to go long days without sleep, right? And to be
Yeah.
around. Yeah, we
Yeah.
never know. Um, Katlyn, what would you say to someone listening that has gone through grief at any degree? Because grief is grief, right?
Yeah.
At any degree that is struggling with their body right now, like what would you want them to really hear from today's conversation?
Yeah. I would just say one, I see you. And the grieving community sees you and do not ever think that you're alone in this. I think that I did myself a disservice by like not talking about it for a while. And once I started to open up to my friends about it, it was healing just to talk about it. So what I would encourage them is to find someone that they trust to just talk it through. I'm a verbal processor, so just say it out loud. Say, "Oh my gosh, I hate that my body's doing this." And then the second thing is just to like give yourself grace. And that sounds so cliche, like just do it, just give yourself grace. But really, like, I mean, this whole conversation we've been just talking about, this is normal.
Mhm.
This is nothing that you've done wrong.
Mhm.
This is not your failure as a human. Like it is a natural response to what you're going through and to give yourself grace
Mhm.
and to take care of your body first. I loved what my therapist told me when I finally opened up about my weight. She said, "We're going to put your weight over here, Katlyn,
Mhm.
and we're going to give that to God. And then we're going to deal with all the other things that I'm dealing with grief." Like she didn't even want to go there with me because there's nothing that you can do to fix it overnight. The only thing that you can control is to feed your body good food and to be active. Like you have some control over it. But when you're grieving, like it's just you don't put that kind of pressure on yourself. So don't put pressure on yourself. Give yourself grace and talk about it. Those would be
So
my things.
good.
Yeah.
That's so good. And I just want to build on what you just said because she said, let's put your weight over here and we're going to focus on these other things. So as you walked back into taking care of your body again and
Mhm.
feeding it nutritious food, you're running a half marathon, like
Yeah.
how have you not gotten stuck in this trap of like, my body's not where it used to be? And how have you stayed focused forward on taking care of it?
Yeah, I think water.
It's
I
so
mean,
important.
really, like that sounds dumb, but that has been one of my biggest goals is just to try to drink a gallon of water every day. And just that right now is one thing I'm focusing on. It's a very tiny
But it's
thing,
a big thing.
but it's a big thing. And because right now I can't make all the meals and I can't like go there with I don't know, like the grocery shopping and all the things, like my mind just can't do that right now. And so just being really intentional about like snacking throughout the day on healthy food and
Mhm.
the water has been a huge thing. And then moving my body. But I'm going to be really honest, this training cycle has been rough. And I think part of it is the grief and my body sounding off and the cortisol levels, but also my body's getting a little older.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's just
real.
something we can all relate with. And I'm just feeling like the little aches and pains
Hmm.
of that. And so that's just kind of a silly sidebar of just aging. And, you know, I just am trying to do a better job of stretching. And that has also really helped bring down my stress. And just so making time to drink water and to stretch and just slowly building in these healthier habits and not trying to do it all at once, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. It's just not realistic to maintain. So drink your water.
I love that. I love well, as she drinks her water,
Yeah.
pulls out her Stanley. Yeah, and I think it's something I hate that we like feel like that's a little thing. We're like, oh, that's not a big deal. Do you know how many people don't drink enough water?
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
a game changer. It's
yeah.
energy. It's like my friends and I were talking the other day. There's this like meme that was going around, and it was like, you're really just a complicated house plant. Like
Oh,
get the sunshine and drink water. Like it's
I
pretty
love that.
simple, right?
I
Because we
think
are.
we
We just,
are.
yeah.
I've heard the one about a cucumber that's like, we're just emotional cucumbers. Like,
Yes.
but those things are such big things. And there is a domino effect when you start doing that because you're drinking water and you're moving your body. That's going to change. And as long as you don't get hung up on weight loss, I think that's where people
Right.
get stuck. As long as you're like, okay, I'm doing this to take care of my physical body now so I can be mom to Chloe and I can continue to navigate my grief journey in a way that helps me grow. And you're doing a lot. You got the podcast, you're writing a book. Like your body needs to be awake and alert and available.
Yeah.
And so as you do that, like I have no doubt, Katlyn, it'll start to just kind of go, okay, what, maybe I should eat some carbs that feel better when I go for a run, or maybe I
Yeah.
should, it will just unfold before
Well,
you
and I think
naturally.
that's the other thing. Any long distance runner listening in
Mhm.
on this, you know, when you're running and training for a half marathon, like I've run a full marathon, which that's a whole other beast, but like for a half, you're not doing it to lose weight because
No.
you have to fuel your body. I mean, I do carb up before my runs, and it's almost like a maintaining, and you're gaining muscle in your legs and all the
Mhm.
things. So like for me, it's the it's the high after the run that I'm
Mhm.
chasing for my mental health really right
That's
now.
awesome.
It's just to do that. So yeah, I would encourage anyone too that is grieving, if you were an athlete before, or you know, you liked to move your body before, as hard as it is when you're in that depression, just try to fight through it and go for a walk. Try to fight through it
Mhm.
and get outside, you know? And I think that was during my depression, as much as it was so painful to do, like to actually get to that point, to like get dressed, to get Chloe in the stroller, to go for a walk. I was so glad that I did. So if you can just push through and find a way to move your body, you will feel mentally better,
Mhm.
and it's good for your physicality too.
So
So
good. So
yeah,
good, Katlyn. Oh, well, I could talk to you for forever. I could, as we did
I
when we
know.
were at the retreat.
I know it.
But I do want to ask you one more question before we wrap up today. And I love asking this question to everyone that comes on the show. And it's, how do you like to fuel your awesome? And that can be literal or metaphorical.
Yeah. I think, and, you know, I've already touched on some of this, but reading my Bible
Mhm.
is been just spiritually fulfilling.
Mhm.
Just being in the Word, trying to do it every day, um, and being in community with my people just fuels me.
Good.
I'm super extroverted. I get my energy from people. So just being around just a healthy community of believers is how I fuel my awesome. And then, yeah, running and writing has been a huge thing for me right now. Just writing out all the things, letting it kind of like empty out of my heart. And it's just been so healing. So that's how I've been fueling my awesome in this
Love
desert
that.
season, right?
I love that. Well, I am so grateful to know you, and I am so grateful for what you're doing next. I think, well, I know you're going to impact and serve so many people, and I can't wait for it. So by the time this episode drops, your podcast will have launched.
Yes.
And so we will definitely include all of that in the show notes so folks can find you. We'll find you on social, your blog. But I know this is just the beginning of your story, and I am so excited to watch it unfold.
Yes, God is so good. And I am so grateful for you and your encouragement in all of this, because you really helped me launch this dream of mine. So,
It's
oh my
so cool.
goodness, it is. It's the coolest.
Oh,
Yes.
it's so good. So good. You're a mighty woman of God, and I'm so happy to know you, Katlyn. I'm so glad you were here today. Let's do yourself a favor and write down at least one actionable item that you can take away from today's episode to start fueling your awesome. Here on the show, we scratch the surface of empowered eating, but if you're looking to dive in deeper, I would love to help you out with that. Head over to jessbrownrd.com. You can check out my free Empowered Eating workshop. You can take a free quiz to see if your eating style aligns with your values, or better yet, book a discovery call with me to learn more about how to further your empowered eating journey. I cannot wait to be in your ear again, cheering you on along the way. Until then, cheers and happy eating.